Evening. Welcome back to the channel. Today is May 23, 2026, and we are tracking multiple massive developments in global health that you need to know about. We start with a major public health advisory hitting headlines right now: the intensifying connection between extreme heat waves and acute medical crisis outbreaks. Experts and major health networks are warning that rising global temperatures are triggering a spike in severe heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and a dangerous worsening of pre-existing cardiovascular conditions. Doctors are stressing that extreme heat acts as an invisible multiplier for underlying chronic diseases. If you or your loved ones suffer from heart conditions, respiratory issues, or diabetes, pay attention. Normal exposure limits do not apply during these heat waves. Watch out for early warning signs like sudden dizziness, muscle cramps, or persistent nausea, which indicate your body's cooling mechanisms are beginning to fail. Segment 2, Global Health Alert: the Ebola and hantavirus outbreaks. Next, we turn to a critical international health emergency. The World Health Organization, WHO, is urgently scaling up its response to a widening Ebola outbreak in Central Africa, which has recently been declared a public health emergency of international concern. What makes this outbreak particularly alarming to global virologists is the specific strain. It is the Bundibugyo species of Ebola. Unlike the more common Zaire strain, the Bundibugyo species has no approved specific vaccine or targeted antiviral treatment. The outbreak originated in the rural Ituri province of the DRC but has now breached containment, spreading to major metropolitan hubs including Kampala, the capital of Uganda, and Kinshasa. Over 131 deaths have been tracked so far, and the WHO is heavily leaning on international coordination and local community engagement to establish contact tracing before it hits wider regional transit networks. Meanwhile, the WHO is also monitoring a multi-country hantavirus cluster linked directly to international cruise ship travel. Tracking back to passengers aboard the MV Hondias, cases of severe respiratory illness caused by the Andes virus, ANDV, have now popped up across borders, with confirmed cases reported by health agencies in France and Spain. While the WHO maintains that the risk to the general global population remains low, it marks a highly unusual transmission pattern for a virus typically confined to localized rodent contact. Segment 3, FDA Watch: groundbreaking new drug approvals. Switching gears to pharmaceutical breakthroughs, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has just handed down a string of historic approvals that could fundamentally change patient care. First up, the FDA granted accelerated approval to Gilead's Hepcludex, bulevirtide mod. This is officially the first ever approved treatment for chronic hepatitis delta virus, HDV, in adults. HDV is a severe, life-threatening condition that only occurs in people already infected with hepatitis B. Until yesterday, these patients had zero targeted options to stop rapid liver scarring or liver cancer. This is a massive victory for infectious disease treatment. In oncology, the FDA approved Datroway, datopotamab deruxtecan DLNK, developed by Daiichi Sankyo. This drug is a specialized antibody-drug conjugate approved for adults with unresectable or metastatic triple-negative breast cancer, TNBC, who aren't candidates for standard immunotherapy. And finally, for the millions managing high blood pressure, AstraZeneca's Baxfendy, Baxdrostat, has officially been approved as a first-in-class, highly selective aldosterone synthase inhibitor to treat stubborn hypertension. Keep an eye on these three drugs as they roll out to pharmacies over the coming months. Segment 4, Cutting-Edge Medical Science and AI Warnings. Now, let's talk about the intersection of artificial intelligence and medicine, because a fascinating duality is emerging. On one hand, medical technology is reaching incredible milestones. A new AI-driven ultrasound model has demonstrated a powerful ability to accurately predict 3-year survival rates for patients fighting locally advanced breast cancer, giving oncologists a massive head start in tailoring aggressive therapies early. However, a newly released report by the Paragon Health Institute is sounding the alarm on healthcare AI integration. The report cautions that AI-enabled medical devices, which rely on predictive models rather than strict rules, frequently suffer from what they call generalization uncertainty. This means an AI model that performs flawlessly during controlled laboratory testing can completely fail when deployed on real-world patients whose medical imaging styles or demographics differ from the initial training data. Experts are warning clinicians not to over-rely on automated AI diagnoses just yet, emphasizing that human oversight remains absolutely paramount to patient safety. Segment 5, Health Policy and Global Resolutions. To wrap up our global roundup, the 79th World Health Assembly has just passed several historic resolutions that will shape healthcare policy for the next decade. First, member states officially endorsed a landmark resolution on precision medicine, aiming to establish an international framework for using clinical, molecular, and genomic data to design personalized treatments equitably across both wealthy and developing nations. Second, the Assembly formally recognized steatotic liver disease, SLD, formerly known as fatty liver disease, as a premier global non-communicable disease threat. SLD now affects an estimated 1.7 billion people globally, making it one of the fastest-growing causes of chronic liver disease on Earth. Lastly, the body passed its first-ever global resolution focused entirely on stroke prevention and acute care, pushing for countries to systematically upgrade their rehabilitation and health system readiness. And a quick note for our viewers in India: following the sudden cancellation of the massive NEET UG 2026 medical entrance exam due to paper leak controversies, the National Testing Agency has officially locked in the re-examination date for June 21, 2026, offering clarity to over 2.2 million anxious medical aspirants. Sanitizing too much, asterisk. It's important to disinfect surfaces that are touched a lot if someone is sick. But you don't need to run wipes over everything in your house. Experts think the asterisk overuse of antimicrobial chemicals might kill good bacteria or lead to superbugs. Asterisk those are strong germs that are hard to kill. WebMD. Article key points. Vasectomy reversal is more cost-effective than IVF, especially for women under 40, achieving higher pregnancy rates and lower costs within typical employer fertility benefits. Medscape. Why we use TND, test negative design, to reduce bias. In a TND study, individuals who seek medical care for symptoms consistent with the disease being studied are tested for the pathogen. Those who test positive are classified as cases, and those who test negative serve as controls. By comparing vaccination rates between these two groups, epidemiologists can estimate the additional benefit the tested vaccine confers over and above baseline immunity for a given virus in a given season. It is the favored approach for measuring VE, vaccine effectiveness, especially for seasonal vaccines that protect against common respiratory infections. TND is the methodology CDC used to express VE for the influenza vaccine this season. Medscape. Make sure to smash the like button if you found this video valuable, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for your daily dose of the science that matters. Stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Disclaimer: compiled information. This content is for educational purposes and is not a substitute for professional medical advice.